Hello, everybody. Guess who's back?
Guess who's back again. Yeah.
This was a really good episode. I enjoyed this episode. Shall I give you my overall thoughts on the episode?
Please do.
Okay. Overall thoughts. Really, really, really liked this episode. I'd heard some rave reviews in advance from the wonderful Mick. Thank you, Mick, for filling in for me while I was away as well. Did a great job.
Mick, thank you so much.
Yep. But he was raving about this episode, and so I was very excited to finally watch it. And I can see why he was so happy about it, because I really, 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 really enjoyed it. It felt to me like, now I'm going to use classic here, but by classic I mean kind of my version of classic as opposed to like 63 to 80s. But to me, it felt like a classic Doctor Who episode. It felt like classic RTD Doctor Who. Even though he didn't write this episode, it was kind of a bit of a silly premise, but at the same time, the stakes were high. I really enjoyed the banter. I just very much liked this episode a lot.
Yeah, no, same. It was light, it was fun, the sad bits did the good, grab the heartstrings moments. Yeah, it was just, and you said as well, it's a bunch of birds. Why not? And we got our, the prosthetics, our headdresses on and everything. Something that, like, this is the thing I enjoy a lot about Doctor Who is don't overcomplicate the CGI or anything as much as possible in terms of the characters. Throw a mask on. I mean, that's half the fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of like the guest stars themselves?
I very much loved the chemistry between Ncuti Gatwa and Jonathan Groff. Not in a bad way, but whenever we know that there's going to be an American guest star, I'm always like, right, where's this going? How is this going to play out? But I think he worked incredibly well. I think he was really good. Yeah, the chemistry between them. I think Indira Varma was wonderful as well. I think seeing the difference between like when she was the actual Duchess to then when she changed to the shapeshifter and the nuances and the changes there. She's wonderful as well. Overall, I just think it was a very strong episode for performances, for setting. I mean, I'm a fan of Bridgerton as well, so I quite enjoyed that. But I don't feel like if you hadn't seen Bridgerton, it made much of a difference. Like, obviously the references to Bridgerton were there and it was a key element to the story, but it was simple enough that if you hadn't seen Bridgerton, you still got the gist of what was going on.
That's it. Like, I've seen a few episodes of it, enough to kind of get I got the music, I got the look of it, and I'd seen enough of the first season to Shirley was someone who has a private meeting with a lover is ruined in society. Is that a reference to the first season of Bridgerton?
Yeah, so the very opening of this episode is like a play on the premise of season 1, which is the Duke kisses this unmarried woman, and her brother then challenges him to a duel because he refuses to marry her, and so he's dishonored her, and the brother challenges him to a duel, and that's kind of like a key concept of season 1 of Bridgerton.
Those are mental, aren't they?
I know. But yeah, so I mean, immediately you get the premise, and so there's the kind of surface level references that people will get whether they've seen it or not, and then there are deeper references as well. So keep your eyes peeled for the Easter eggs, because I have noted some deeper cut Bridgerton references as well in the Easter eggs that would go over the heads of those who hadn't seen it, but doesn't make a difference to the storyline.
Yeah, it's funny. I get what you mean about when there is an American guest star. And it sounds like, okay, we chose to came out fighting the Americans this week. No, it's just like Doctor Who is so British.
Especially when you're setting an episode in Regency era England.
Yeah.
You're like, how does an American guest star fit into this scenario?
Mm-hmm. And as it turns out, very well.
Yeah, I really liked him. So I've seen a lot of people... There's 2 characters that have been referred to or referenced when looking at this character in comparison. Obviously, there's River Song. A lot of people have made that comparison. A lot of people have asked my opinion on that. Personally, I don't see the River connection as much as I see the other one, which is Captain Jack Harkness. Between the 2, I feel like Rogue is a closer comparison to Captain Jack than I would say River, apart from obviously the romance side of it. But I feel like the relationships are are different. I think maybe if we see more of Rogue, then it could develop into a kind of River situation. But I think because we saw more of River, that relationship kind of was established over a longer period of time, and there was a kind of more of a there are more layers to it, as opposed to this, which felt a little bit more like kind of a rushed romance, you know, a fleeting romance, a fleeting fling.
A fleeting fling. Say that 10 times fast.
A fleeting fling.
A fleeting fling. A fleeting. I love it as well because yeah, I've seen a lot of the Jack Harkness comparisons, and I see that the two biggest ones being Agent seemingly out of time and American. You know, so I get it. I get the comparisons, but I don't know. I don't know. I kind of like that Rogue wasn't so Jack the Lad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of that comparison, that's probably as far as it would go. He's not completely like him in terms of personality, but I do get Jack vibes from him.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I mean, even the bit where he pulls the gun on him, I'm like, okay, this is all very Jack. You know?
Yeah, I mean, even down to his kind of grungy ship, which we obviously saw Jack had his
Yeah.
own ship in the first episode that we met him in. There were just a lot of comparisons. It's like someone kind of did a copy and paste badly of Captain Jack. Not that Rogue is a bad character, but it's like
Yeah, I think so. And what do you think of Jonathan Groff in general in this
I
episode?
think he's a very in the episode. I mean, I think he was brilliant. I think in terms of just the actor, he's very versatile. You know,
Hmm.
you look at Rogue here, and then you look at the character that he plays in Hamilton, for example, or the fact that he's Kristoff in Frozen. Like he's very versatile.
And also he plays hero well. And here I get like really disaffected, jobber who, by meeting the doctor gets a new lease of life, enough to make that sacrifice that he does. Um, and yeah, it really works for me. I love the two of them together, and I love the doctor completely lifting the veil on, I'm serious, I'm serious. Oh, really? Yeah, we're just gonna play Kylie one more time.
I loved that scene.
That was so good. Someone did, the only in Doctor Who thing. Someone did the breakdown of, in 2005, I think it was, the Doctor references Kylie Minogue. In 2006, the Doctor hangs out with Kylie Minogue for an episode, and in 2024, Kylie plays over the speakers. It's like, I see you, Russell. I see what you're doing there. Um, and it worked. And it's also, someone said as well that by having Kylie be the way he sort of exposes Rogue as not quite as serious as he is, it makes Voyage of the Damned retroactively so much funnier that the Doctor, oh, I knew her, I knew her well, or will know her because timey-wimey.
Yeah. Or at least some alternate version of her, a
Mm.
multiversal version of Kylie where she didn't become a pop star and became a waitress.
Yeah, I've got the worst. Also, love the segue by mentioning the multiverse because
Do you like what I did there? I was going to use that
very
as a
good,
segue.
very good,
I
well
know.
played.
Uh-huh.
Uh, because something else happened in this episode, small little thing, which ironically it really was like a 1 second or 2 second, like, hey, wait, was that who?
Mm. And it's so deep cut that I have seen some people tweeting, I knew who all these were, but who is this one? Obviously we had Richard E. Grant. His face popped up, if you missed it, on the little season 1 version of I'm the Doctor, here's all my faces, here's my history, and all the faces popped up.
I
Um,
love how long that gets as well.
it's a
Like,
new face every time.
yeah.
Yeah, so there was Richard E. Grant coming up there, which basically, and we have had confirmation now from Russell T Davies
Hmm.
confirming that the Schalke Doctor is canon. Richard E.
Hmm.
Grant as a kind of different version of the Ninth Doctor. This is where the multiversal element becomes a little bit timey-wimey and complicated because obviously the Ninth Doctor is Christopher Eccleston, but
But also,
the number system is completely just thrown out the window at this point anyway. But to
yeah.
most people, the Ninth Doctor is Christopher Eccleston. But before the 2005 revival, we had Richard E. Grant playing the Ninth Doctor in an animated story, which was called Scream of the Schalke. So it was only his voice. So I guess even if you had seen that, the fact that his actual face popped up might have confused you because it was just his voice for the animation. So that's confusing.
I think as well. I mean, you're right because even though yes, the animation was like Richard E. Grant was clearly the inspiration for the animation. It's still different from seeing a cartoon version to a real version. But also, I mean, like there's a way of looking at this where it's like, yes, I mean, it's Scream of the Shalka. It's also Curse of Fatal Death and Dimensions in Time. We will get to that one in a
That
moment.
list is going to have to get longer and longer. We need
It's
to add a few
getting
more faces.
so long. But yeah, so Richard E. Grant is there, like you might not have seen Rowan Atkinson, Jim Broadbent, Hugh Grant, and Joanna Lumley, but that's not to say that they weren't there as well. I mean, this is the gas thing about it. A couple of faces who I were delighted to see, and I mean, like both, of course, but still delighted to see them were Joe Martin's fugitive doctor, um,
Hmm. And
and and the
John
war
Hurt.
doctor as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like which we know are canon, but it's still nice to see them at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I will say though, every time they have a moment where the faces come up in some sort of projection or something, some of them always look weirder than others. But there were a couple of them where I really had to concentrate to work out who they were.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, for example, kind of, I suppose, on the one side, I didn't recognize Richard E. Grant. On the other side, I was like, that's Richard E. Grant.
Mm. What else I
Um,
find funny about the fact that it's Richard E. Grant is obviously this episode was written by the showrunner of
but showrunner of season
Loki.
one of Loki is Kate
Yes.
Herron. Yeah,
Yes, I just didn't want to get my facts wrong. The showrunner. I have seen season one, haven't seen season two. But point being, Richard E. Grant also appears as a multiversal version of Loki in
yeah.
Loki. Spoiler alert. So either Kate Herron just has like a really good friendship with Richard E. Grant, or I just like the connection there that Richard E. Grant just pops up as this multiversal version of anyone.
Um, as if Doctor Who wasn't confusing enough when you try and think, right, what timeline are we in? Um, so we're dimension hopping now as well, which is fun, or at least the idea of different dimensions is opened because between Scream of the Shalka, between Forgetting Doctors, between pre-Hartnell, and then if we think back to the Giggle, the toy maker going, I played with your history like a jigsaw. Basically,
Mm.
I'm paraphrasing. Like I think for one thing, Russell's just like, so your numbering system is really cute. We're not doing that anymore. Or maybe just not as rigid, because if we have pre-Hartnell doctors, then the first doctor isn't the first doctor, and none of the numbering matters anything
Mm.
anyway.
The thing is, I was thinking about this the other day. The numbering isn't actually something that in universe the Doctor uses. It's just something fans have done. But the Doctors
That's
don't
true.
refer to them as I'm the sixth Doctor, I'm the seventh Doctor. They're just the Doctor. They don't count. And so when you look at it like that, in universe, of course, it makes sense that there's probably other incarnations. It's
Hmm.
just that the numbering was a way for us to work out who was next. But I think as soon as the War Doctor was introduced and everyone accepted that without issue, I think
Much, yeah.
I think that actually the numbering system is just a guide for the audience, but in universe the numbering it isn't a thing.
Yeah, you're right. Like I know there's like every now and again you will get a reference, and I'm thinking funny you mentioned the War Doctor because that bit where Clara's in the time stream, which I will come back to as well, but the bit where Clara's in the time stream and she says to the Doctor, "I've seen your faces, all 11." So like, all right, grand, there is a bit of a script which addresses, okay, there is a numbering, but even in that,
Mm.
okay, even if we take from that she's saying you, Matt Smith, are the 11th Doctor, that still doesn't go Tennant's the 10th, Eccleston's the ninth, so on and so forth. So you're dead right. Like, long way of saying, I agree. The numbering system is for us to go, which Doctor are you talking about? Fourth. Oh, Tom Baker. Okay, cool.
Mm.
You
I mean, the
know?
thing is, as well, is she says all 11 of them, and then all of a sudden you have the War Doctor who she had no idea about. And so, if you want to look at it at, like in a real deep level, I saw all 11 that you hadn't kind of removed from your memory. But, the whole Timeless Child arc, I know there were issues with it. And the fact that I think the biggest issue with that is playing with the kind of origins of the character as opposed to
Yeah.
saying there were ones before William Hartnell. Because the more I think about it, the more I'm like, William Hartnell as the Doctor wasn't a young man. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it's obvious that there should have been more before that we just hadn't seen. And when you remove the number system and you just remember that that's our guide, I don't see a problem with it at all. I think the more I think about it, the more I accept this now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Like I think, yeah, the initial kind of wait, what has totally worn off at this
Hmm.
point. And the I think there was one. I mean, not to get on the timeless child for a second, but
Yet
it
again.
kind of yet again, but just kind of it ties in because obviously we have a fugitive doctor there. I think it sort of elevated the Doctor to even more important in galactic events status, where I think the Doctor is at their strongest when they're a participant in the story as opposed to the catalyst of the story. Because I remember Moffat talking about this around the time the 50th came out, that it's one of the few times the episode was all about the Doctor and it was all
Hmm.
about the history of the Doctor. And it was sort of a special occasion that it was that. A lot of the time, Doctor drops in, does stuff, and leaves, as
Yeah.
very much the Doctor does in this episode. Um, so, whereas the Timeless Child was a bit like, oh no, this is God, and all things come from the Doctor.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I wasn't so keen on that element of it.
yeah, it was a bit like, oh, okay. But yeah, we should put time aside every week to say, and what does this remind us from them? What is fantastic is how much Russell is going, it happened, and we're sticking with it and we're running with it. So obviously, there's Jodie, there's Ruth, there's, kind of the only thing missing was the Morbius doctors, but then again, missing is what? You know what I mean? Like at this point,
Yeah.
we can just have fun with it.
Yeah, there's
Uh,
only so many you can add before it gets silly.
And
Like you'd be sat there
see
for a whole 5 minute scene of just all the faces going.
Tennant in there twice as well. We see you. I see you,
Hmm.
10th and 14th Doctors. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about 10.5? You could get a third Tennant in there, no problem. You know?
And Donna.
And yes, I keep forgetting that.
And
Yes, of
Rose.
course. So funny because when was the last time we did a discussion video? I think was Boom. So we've had 73 yards and Dot and Bubble and Rogue between then, which means we've had like 3 episodes in a row where we didn't get an awful lot of the Doctor and Ruby on screen together.
Yeah. Yeah. I did. So 73 yards, I did do the ups and downs for.
Yes, yes, of course, yeah.
And then I was gone from then onwards. So you did the rest of it. And yeah, Dot and Bubble. I think the Doctor lightness. When I first watched 73 yards, I missed the Doctor. When I rewatched it the other day, it didn't bother me quite so much. But then when you do then follow that again with Dot and Bubble, which is kind of light on both of them, to be honest, it again feels like, am I watching Doctor Who? And I think because there's less episodes this season, it's more noticeable because you're thinking, where are the main characters? And then obviously this episode, they are both there and they're both prominent, but they're not together. Um, which then to me made it feel a bit. I just feel like we haven't spent enough time with these two characters together to really get a feel for their dynamic or their relationship. And then when we do see them together, the way they act suggests they've got this real buddiness going on, but we haven't really seen that. So then there was a line where the Doctor referred to Ruby as his best friend, and I was like, not sure if I quite buy that because I I haven't seen enough of you spending enough time together, just bantering as such. I mean, there is banter in their interactions, but like, I mean, I'm also at the same time, I'm currently doing a full rewatch of kind of New Who onwards. And I'm on series 4 at the moment. And when you compare like the relationship between the Doctor and Donna to the Doctor and Ruby, I don't feel like there's enough moments of just kind of nothingness, just that friendship and that bantering between each other that really establishes how close they are. I haven't seen a lot of that. Usually when the Doctor and Ruby are together, it's because they're on a mission and they're doing something and there's a high stakes situation happening as opposed to they're just having a laugh.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you picked up on it there. I was going to say about she's my best friend. Is she? But that's fine, kind of like every single time we get a new companion, the companion is the best friend, and that's fine. But yeah, it's just nice to see that sometimes. Like the scene at the end where we get, the Ruby basically says, "Shut up," and gives him a hug. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely love that scene. I thought that was brilliant. I believed it. Just like I believe in Boom, for example, the way Ruby interacts with the Doctor. So when they're together, it seriously works for me. which is why, I mean, not to belabor a point, I'm so glad we get Ruby next season as well, because, give us more scenes of them together. And be interested to see then how the dynamic works with another person involved. So I suppose like yeah, I would have liked them to have more time together because I thought Ruby's side plot was the less interesting element of
Mm.
this episode. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. I just thought it was less interesting
Yeah,
than
yeah,
the
yeah,
rest
I
of it.
definitely agree. I also think the fact that I can't remember which episode it was, but we comment. Oh, I think it was the second episode. They indicated that like 6 months had passed or something, and so they're doing these big jumps of time where they've clearly been
Yeah.
spending lots of time together, but we haven't seen it. I don't know. It just felt a little bit like convenient to just. Well, we'll just mention that it's been 6 months, and so then we can start acting a little bit more buddy. We don't need to show anyone the development of that friendship because we've told them that 6 months have passed and they just haven't seen it happen.
Mm,
I
mm.
almost feel like it would have been better if these episodes had all been one adventure after the other without the kind of big gaps of time in between to show that friendship grow more, as opposed to going, here's episode 1, they don't know each other. Here's episode 2, they've been together 6 months and they're best friends all of a sudden. Yeah, I just feel like at this point, we're at the 2-part finale of the season now, and I still don't really feel like I've got to know this duo very well.
There's a big question about the Doctor's romance in this episode, and of the arguments about it online. The only one I'll attach any kind of respect to are the ones where it's just like, well, a lot of people like the Doctor as just not a romantic being. Like there's been jokes about that in Doctor Who before. I mean, the member in the 50th is like, kind of, you know, will this kissing happen in the future? It does start to happen a lot. Yeah. Like gags like that are funny. And look, the fact that it's being said by the 11th Doctor, who is the most sexless creature I think ever introduced in Star Trek because he's so awkward and wonderful. Um, and then you cast Ncuti Gatwa, who is just chemistry on legs,
Hmm.
which is not to say that the others aren't, Peter Capaldi looking at you. Um, but so my question to you is, what do you think of the Doctor and romance in general?
I think it works when it's not done too much. Obviously, we all know that I love the River Song storyline. I think that
Why do
relationship
you think I'm
works.
asking you this question?
I think that relationship works because it is a different kind of relationship. It's not your typical boy meets girl. It's got a complicated elements to it. But
Mm-hmm.
if you keep doing it, then I just don't feel like it's very powerful anymore. Well, the Doctor just every Doctor is with someone else, it loses that power. But yeah, I think in certain situations, a fleeting bout of chemistry, and I don't think it should be completely missing at all.
Would
But
you prefer
yeah,
Rogue to be the Doctor's long-term, long-distance, low-commitment, casual boyfriend?
yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. Because like I mean I love the kiss between them. It was perfect because it was also part of the plot. Because
Yeah.
it was both a super romantic kiss and also I'll have that button. Thanks very much.
Let me add to what I just said because I've just thought of the main thing I was trying to say there is I think I prefer it when the romance is not between the Doctor and their companion.
100% yes.
I think that
100%.
that's why, River Song, technically not a companion. There's a deeper thing to it. I mean, there's an argument to be made whether River Song is a companion or not, but for the baseline of what a companion is, River Song is not. That's why I don't think the Rose one works so much because you're seeing it happen all the time, and it reduces the show to being a rom-com, or not even a rom-com, just a romance as opposed to being a sci-fi adventure action. So yeah, I think the romance works best if it's between two companions or between a third party and the Doctor for
Mhm.
a period of time. But when it becomes the focal point of this, that the companion and the Doctor are romantically involved, that's when I don't think it works so well.
I agree. And yes, I agree with you as well. Like River is kind of on her own status, her own kind of platform there. Is she a companion? Is she? Isn't she? Like I love, the Doctor and obviously Renette, the Doctor and Astrid works
Yeah.
for me. The Doctor and Rogue, because this story clearly isn't finished. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put in the line, "Come find me." Do you know what I mean?
I mean, there's a
So
lot of theories, isn't there? I have a theory to add to this long list of theories because we obviously have the one who waits. We don't know
Yes.
who the one who waits is, but now a lot of people have suggested, well, what if Rogue is the one who waits? And my theory being, I think it's too obvious to be the point, but I think, what if Rogue is the one who waits and he spent so long waiting for the Doctor that he becomes, almost his feelings turn and he becomes kind of, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know, like oh no, you've put me on the spot.
I had
Obsessed,
this, it's kind of
angry.
like, yeah, like a vendetta against the Doctor because you
Yeah.
said you'd come and find me and you didn't. And so now I hate you. And I was the one who waited and you never found me. And now I'm coming to find you.
I'm a bit burnt out on those storylines because we've seen it a few times. Not
Yeah.
necessarily in Doctor, it's been in Doctor, but in other ones as well. So the one who waits being Rogue, I'm totally cool with maybe another reason. Like if it's just you said you'd come find me, it's like, yeah, but mate, where were you? Like literally many, many,
I
many
mean,
dimensions.
not least the fact that you said you'd come and find me, and I kind of hoped you'd come and find me to save me from being trapped on a planet with these five killer birds.
Yeah. Like, and also, I think if Rogue, I mean, the Doctor to stop Rogue killing them. So if Rogue wanted to, Rogue would be eating pigeon pie for months. Do you know what I mean? I'm not worried about the Rogue being in danger by any means. Also, I guess if I'm really being fair, like, oh my God, the Children will destroy Earth. How? I never particularly got much threat off them, but wasn't that kind of an episode? But yeah, they're like, they'll expand from here and destroy all of Earth. Pretty sure they'd be distracted by something shiny on the wall. They literally just
Yeah.
talked about how they live for drama. Twist Watch this week sees a portrait, but I think Twist Watch next week is going to blow everything out of the water.
I'm so excited for this two-part finale. I haven't watched any of the episodes at midnight because
Right.
either we've been fortunate enough to have had the episodes in advance, or the first two episodes I was like, I'm not staying up till 2 a.m. and then covering
Hmm.
the episodes first thing in the morning. It's not happening. So I waited and watched them both in the morning, so I had a clearer head. I
Sure.
think the next two episodes I will be watching them at midnight as opposed to waiting.
No, I think so. Yeah. What have we seen? So this preview for Ruby. So I keep going to say the Ruby Road. No, for the Legend of Ruby Sunday. What have we got in that preview so far?
A lot of Susan Twist.
Yeah.
We had like Borg looking Susan Twist at one point. I was like, "Oh, are we getting even more crossovers here? Is she a Borg?"
Probably.
I think yeah. We saw obviously we know Rose is
Yeah.
there. Captain Sexy was there. Colonel Sexy, whatever rank we've given him.
Works for me. Yeah.
Yep. Also, another kind of Star Trek reference is in another clip I've seen. I don't know if it was the trailer, it might have been the clip that was on Unleashed. The TARDIS lands in Unit HQ. HQ, I can't speak.
Breathe,
The
breathe, breathe.
TARDIS lands in TARDIS HQ, and Colonel Sexy says "Doctor on the bridge" or something along those lines, and it was like Star Trek.
Okay. Okay. I like, yep.
But I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to getting some answers.
There is one thing that I'm already sad about, the new unit scientific advisor.
Lenny
Uh,
Rush.
yeah, which I'm awesome. Can't wait. But well,
Why is Unit hiring children?
I know, right? And possibly Danny, I'm sorry in advance because I've forgotten her name very quickly. But what happened to our previous scientific advisor? The one who was brilliant in, not Space, the Star Beast and the Giggle.
Oh, what was her
Ruth
name?
Madley. Ruth
Yeah.
Madley is yeah, she's gone right out of my head now.
What was her character's name? Shirley.
Thank you, Shirley Ambinger. Good memory.
Yeah.
But yeah, what happened to her? I think that's it. There's just so much. Obviously, Mel is back next week. Everything. So I don't know. Are we going to spend the whole episode in Unit HQ? Who knows? And also, at what point of the episode will we see Carla and Sherry?
I think they'll be in this episode.
I think so. Yeah.
I think
Uh,
we'll see them.
I am not expecting to see Donna or the 14th Doctor. I think it will
No.
be Rose.
Yeah, I think it'll just be Rose. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to finding out why Rose is there.
Yeah, I suppose like depends how much she remembers from the meta crisis and how much that effect because it looks like by the end of it, she's ready to step in and be a scientific advisor as well. Can't wait. Okay, so in the meantime, everyone have lovely weeks. You're awesome. Yeah.
We'll see you next week for our discussion of The Legend of Ruby Sunday.
See you then.